Round one. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
Hungry Gamers.
Hello folks, welcome to episode 171 of The Hungry Gamers. I am your favourite substitute host, Salim Abraham, and I am joined today by my favourite Hungry Gamer, the only one I ever liked, Miss Ali Hart, all the way from California. Hello, Miss Ali Hart, how are you today?
I am good, thank you, Sam.
You know what, I think I forgot that we are powered by 8bit.net and Audio-Technica.
We are. That is
just in
official.
case I missed that.
That is consistent with us.
That is official.
Oh, this is a great start. Fill-in host. This is such a good start.
I'm wondering if I should redo it, but I won't. I think this is fine. We can roll with it.
Solid gold.
Solid gold. Yeah. How are you, Ali? What's happening on your side of the beautiful world?
Well, it's getting colder over here, actually, which I can't believe I'm saying, but I'm actually a little bit happy for. Back to hoodie weather, so...
You missed summer.
I know. I had like a double up of summer, so by the time I left Australia, we had just been getting out of summer, and the summer was extending, like, over to, March and April, so the heat was still going on, and then I came to the States and they were just moving into their summer. So I've had just the longest summer, and I really haven't witnessed, I guess, winter, for quite some time, which is okay because I hate Sydney winter. It's like my bones ache.
Wow.
Runny nose and all that business.
What's a Cali winter meant to be like? Does it snow?
Well, I've been here for Christmas in winter. It doesn't actually snow like in the main areas, but there's actually some mountain area where it can snow. It doesn't always snow, but it can snow. So I still haven't seen it. Me personally, I've never seen snow in my entire life.
Really?
So maybe now I will. Yeah, I've never touched snow, seen snow.
Well, Ali, that makes two of us because I've never seen snow either. Yeah,
really?
We're just a couple of shut-ins.
I don't know if it was like with all like Australian schools, but I felt like at least within my district that when you hit year 6 or like, yes, year 6, everyone would do a snow trip. Like they'd go to like, I don't know, Thredbo or something. Like it was pretty common. And then as soon as I hit year 6, they changed it and they sent us to a shitty farm.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I always feel a bit self-conscious about it. I probably don't want to go on for this for too long, but yeah, it's always something that I get strange looks about when I explain to people I've never seen snow, and they're like, really? You've never seen snow? Wow. Yeah, it's like, anyway. In stark contrast to where you are at the moment, it is absolutely heating up here in Sydney, and I, for one, could not be happier. It's beach weather, baby. It's finally here, and this is my favorite time of the year. I just feel my mood pick up exponentially, always. It's just, I'm a happier person from September to about March, guaranteed.
What is it? Was it that the sun gives you, like that natural energy, like the sun rays and something?
Yeah, vitamin D.
Like, is it a vitamin D? Yeah,
vitamin D and happiness in ray-like form. But I guess that's it for the Hungry Gamers Weather Edition. We'll move on to the gaming segment of the podcast now. And we've got a whole lot of things to talk about later, including all of the Blizzcon announcements, including a recent ACCC action against ZeniMax. And we may even talk a little bit of shit about Blitzchung and Blizzard's really rough apology at the start of BlizzCon. But Ali, tell me, what have you been playing?
So I'm still feeding the addiction of Minecraft. Thanks a lot, NATO. I am absolutely all in this stupid freaking game. The addiction's real. The dedication's real. I am now being called Trump because I put a giant wall around my base. There was a reason for it, though, because anyone that hasn't like played Minecraft recently, there's now raiders, like pillagers, like people that will come in and fuck your shit up.
Awesome.
And yeah, I don't want any of that. I want to protect my animals and my space and everything. So I made this giant wall. I didn't tell anyone. No one really comes to visit anyway, which is fine. And yeah, and then NATO started calling me Trump, and then Benny started calling me Trump.
So now you're Miss Ally Trump.
No, Miss Ally Trump.
Oh no.
It's working so far, I'm going to say that. And now I've got a new neighbour. I don't know if I'm going to be ruining his news, but a certain host that's not present is currently playing Minecraft.
Well, nice one.
Just
Just, you know, treat your raiders and fellow people there with respect. Maybe don't put your hands on them. You can save yourself an inquiry later.
The other problem was after building my wall, I kind of like said into the group chat, I need weapons. I need to protect myself. And I'm like, oh God, I am America, aren't I? Build a wall. I need weapons.
Oh, yeah. You're fully indoctrinated.
Yeah.
Keep the borders open, I say. So I had a really weird experience with this game recently where I played it on my mobile for 30 seconds. I jumped into the same realm, NATO's realm. I broke a couple of things, and then I got put on a timeout.
I saw what you did, and I'm sorry, but you deserved it.
I buried the livestock. I broke a tower. I just like 4 cubes off of it or something, and then I stole some scrolls. And apparently,
you didn't just break that tower, by the way. You did not just break that tower. You also built something in its place.
I drew a dick. I have no problem explaining that part of it. I just thought I was trying to speed it up, speed the story up. I thought
that's a very key part of this story, though, because I just jumped in the realm randomly. I walked past where that tower used to be. I'm like, what happened here? Did something explode? And then as I was walking past, I'm like, that's a penis.
It is a penis. It was a penis.
Yeah, so, and I was really curious who it was, but it makes sense that it was you.
Interestingly, you didn't bat an eyelid to when I said buried the livestock. You just went straight to break the tower and build a penis.
I noticed that as well. The livestock was missing. I was like, where is it gone?
I just thought it would be funny.
And I'm like,
I just thought it would be funny if they walk to where, like, because they had these little pens set up where they kept all the cows and pigs and stuff. And I thought it would just be funny if they walked there, like, where is everything? But they could still hear them. They could still hear, like,
but then you didn't know that they could suffocate?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's the thing. Yeah, but then I tried downloading this on my PC, only to find that like the Java version doesn't work with the Windows 10 version, blah blah blah. And then I'm like, well, I just bought this on my mobile. Surely I can just transfer or whatever to my PC. And then it's like, no, you can't. But because I bought it already in 2013 or 14, I can get a Windows 10 thing for free. It took like an hour to figure out, and I was just done with it. I was so done with the process, and they don't make it easy. They do not make it easy at all to like figure out what version you need and where to get it and what you're entitled. Anyway, so
yeah, no, we talked about this the other week with Brendan, and you know, it's a bit confusing, but yeah, the fact that you can play it on your phone though still absolutely warps my mind.
The controls are so janky.
I would assume
it's really not worth playing on your phone. Yeah.
Yeah, the little screen and everything.
Yeah.
I get motion sickness.
Yeah, it just doesn't handle well. I feel like you need more functions than just the one button they give you. Mm-hmm. But anyway, what do I know? I'm just a hungry gamer.
You crazy. An outlaw of the Minecraft West.
So what's happening on the dark side of the moon these days?
So Destiny 2 Shadow King, it's the Halloween event, which is called the Festival of the Lost. I'm feeling a lot of it's a lot of the same. So they do it every year. And I feel like they're really ripping us off because there's a few like they say limited edition, but it's time of the year limited. They'll release like emotes, armor, all that sort of stuff. But then when I went into the like Eververse, the shop where you obtain it, they're still asking you to, you know, spend your silver and everything, which is real currency, like real world currency, just to get these not so limited edition things. And I was kind of a bit pissy about it. So I didn't buy anything.
Okay.
That's my stance. That's my stance, and I'm sure they're going to miss it.
Yeah.
And then in regards to just events, a lot of things where they've done like, they do like paper mache masks of like popular characters in Destiny. So you get to wear these stupid masks for Halloween.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so a lot of the things are doing bounties that require you to wear the masks. And I mean, it's funny, but I don't know. I just didn't really get myself too involved this time around because it felt a lot of the same with, you know, no reward.
Sounds like...
But they design... Oh, I was just going to say they do great with the tower. The tower looks awesome. Like, they decorate it all spooky and stuff, and it looks great. It always looks great when they decorate it, but I don't know.
It sounds like maybe you got more trick than treat there.
Oh, definitely. 100%.
Like that little Halloween in line. We did Halloween this year, by the way, in Australia. It's more and more prominent every year it passes.
I was talking to my American friends about that because I got to have my first... I'm going to call it a real Halloween because I actually had Halloween in America. And I was explaining that there's this conflict in Australia where, you know, like there's people that are like, no, it's not our holiday. And then there's like people who want to do it because American, you know? So... Yeah,
I don't think it's that. I think it's weird. It's definitely an American thing, obviously. But
it's a pop culture thing, right? Like we absorb American pop culture in Australia, and we witness Halloween a lot. And so, like, because we witness it a lot of people kind of, you know, they take it on board like it's a legitimate holiday. Like, I don't know. It's like it started with the trashy just 18s. That's where it started. Dressing up, hitting the clubs, and then they got older and had kids. And then now they still want to... No, I don't know. But, like, it's funny because in Australia we had Diwali only, like, last week. Which is, like, an Indian celebration. And so it's like, well, why is it fine to celebrate that and not fine to celebrate Halloween? Like, it's just another fun little holiday. It's not, like, at all the same necessarily in terms of its importance. But you know what I mean? It's a fun thing. Just... Kids are having fun doing it. Everyone likes to dress up. I don't see the harm in it. And, you know, the Candyman makes a lot of money in the meantime. So, definitely.
Nice one, Cadbury.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think it's kind of a bit weird that Australia celebrates it. Like, even, like, Mexico doesn't celebrate it. They've got their own. They've got the Day of the Dead, which is today, I think.
That's... Yeah. It's also, like, more...
It's very cultural, like Day of the Dead. It's very respectful. It's a celebration of, like, you know, everyone that's in the afterlife and just remembering them and offering them gifts and everything. It's really cool, actually. I'm noticing, like, a lot of decorations here, so it's really nice. Yeah,
it's not just like America's doing dress-ups. Let's have our own.
Yeah, America's doing dress-ups and asking for free shit. Yeah.
All right, Ali, well, you've made your voice heard on the Halloween matter. I'm fine with it. We'll see what Brendan has to say when he gets back. I'm sure he's got an opinion.
I bet he does.
Cool. Anything else this week?
No. What have you been up to?
I did a bucket list thing this week and finally finished Final Fantasy VII for the first time.
Nice. Finish it? Like, for the first time ever?
Yeah. So, in the past, I've come very close and then just dropped off. But I purchased it on my mobile and I've just been playing it a couple hours a day on my commutes, and it's surprisingly a really great way to do it because you can get whole sections done and it feels like you're making progress at like a very consistent rate, and it also handles really well on the mobile, which is also really good. It's Final Fantasy VII, so I'm not gonna talk about the quality of the game or anything like that, but the ending to me was still kind of a little bit bizarre. Knowing the ending, do you know the ending? Do you know the story of it all that well?
No, I don't think I know this one too well.
Okay, in a nutshell, there's an evil company who's like sucking the life out of the planet. There's a bad guy who's like a science experiment gone wrong trying to destroy the planet. He does this by summoning a meteor, and you spend like the last act of the game with a meteor hanging above the earth, like end days kind of scenario, and you've got to find a way to stop the meteor from crashing into the earth. And Sephiroth's the bad guy. Everyone knows Sephiroth.
Yeah, I'm familiar with him.
It's so funny going through the game and knowing everything about that character afterwards as well, and seeing how much that character appears all throughout gaming, like all throughout. He's one of the most iconic villains of all time.
Is it justifiable, or is it just a fan base?
Well, I don't know. This is the thing, because in the game, I've seen Advent Children, which is the movie that came out after this. I've read heaps. I've watched heaps. Like, I understand his relevance, but in the game, it's weird. This game is super psychological. Like, it's very heavily inspired, I think, by Evangelion. And it's of that time too. I think it's only like a year later. And it feels very much of the 90s as well, this game. It's cool though. It's good. I had a lot of fun with the systems, the mechanics, like the materia system in the game. It's really interesting. You can sort of mix and match abilities and then augment other abilities by like combining them together, which is kind of cool. I got Omni Slash, which is like the heroic move of the game, where basically Cloud just slashes something 13, 14 times. Doesn't sound terribly exciting, but watch how he does it in Advent Children, and you'll understand.
Call it the slap chop.
Yeah, it was just good to do. Like, I've always been meaning to finish it. I'm very bad at finishing things. I think that's been documented well on this show.
Me too. Don't worry.
Sorry, yeah.
That's why I play like open world games. Like,
yeah.
finish.
You and I were like of the MOBA era, where you just there's no story. You're just constantly doing the same thing over and over
again. Yep.
Yeah. And speaking of the MOBA era, I watched a little doco called League of Legends Origins on Netflix.
Yeah. How was it?
This is it's fine. It's LOL propaganda for sure, but it's a doco that covers basically the origin of League of Legends right through to it becoming basically the game that we know it is now. How that happens, steps along the way, challenges. Not so many challenges, surprisingly, according to this documentary.
Really?
No, I'm sure there were, but like, and how much can you really cover in an hour? But basically, it kind of goes through all of it. It goes through how it first started, how its initial launch, the way the free to play model that they used was not really being used anywhere else at the time, and how big a risk that was. And I can see that point. And then it shifts into covering it as an esport, and how the rise of it as an esport came about in both Europe and in Korea. And it's crazy. It's a freaking huge game. Like, they were dropping so many stats in there. Like, 1% of the world play this game. They get more esports coverage than like the NBA playoffs and the Super Bowl and the Stanley Cup combined. It really, you can't, however you feel about League of Legends, you can't really dispute those facts. And it is like a nice little reminder that, yeah, okay, gaming, it's this big. It is this big.
It's like, League of Legends is definitely, like, I'm not incredibly informed about it, but in being not involved in that game whatsoever, the amount that I know and everything that's connected to it, like, just speaks volumes on how much of an impact that game has on just like the gaming community, and I guess outside of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, just on that, talking about community, so this doco is like every 30 seconds they reminded you that Riot was all about community engagement. It was just like shoving that down your throat. But they talk about the toxicity that spawned out of League of Legends, and they talk about it at length. They talk about it at length. They do a pretty good job of sort of speaking about it. They actually have a few female employees of Riot who are involved in community engagement. There's a dev talking as well, and they're talking about how they feel about it personally, and it is kind of honest, and it's good. It's good to see. It's a good watch. It is a really good watch.
Did Riot talk about their internal issues?
No, they didn't talk about their internal issues.
I doubt they would.
No. That'd be a PR nightmare. But anyway, give it a crack. I think it only runs for like an hour. It's not too bad.
Not too bad.
just an interesting insight into how something very small from two dudes who never shipped a game became the biggest game in the world.
Yeah, that's terrifying, actually. Is that on Netflix?
It is. Well, it's here in Australia. It's on Netflix. I'm sure you'll have it over there as well.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah.
Give it a crack.
Yeah, for an hour. Wouldn't mind.
All right. And with that, we'll head into the news.
This week's news headlines.
The Death Stranding embargo has dropped, Ali. We are living in a world now where we can learn about Death Stranding and what the hell it actually is and means, and the baby and Norman Reedus and all of the crazy Kojima stuff. Now, this kind of doesn't really surprise me, if I'm being honest, but the reviews are coming out and there are some mixed reviews about Death Stranding. Did you have any sense of whether or not this would just be like a 10 out of 10 everywhere kind of story, or...
I don't know. Based on like how like it was constantly pushed and like how the story still was never clear, and then like gameplay wasn't always clear, I was like, I definitely don't think this was going to be for everyone, but I thought there was going to be a lot more like ass kissing. Like I definitely thought there was going to be a lot more ass kissing. So I'm actually really impressed with a lot of outlets being as honest as they've been. So, I mean, that's good. But I mean, from what I've read, there's a lot of consistency, in these reviews. And like a review that was like higher, like on the like scale that was saying like, you know, like 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 or whatever, are still like highlighting the same things that someone that probably gave it a 7 or a 6. So I guess that's when you kind of start looking and go, you know what? Just some people like different games. Some people like certain mechanics, some people don't. So, but yeah, the certain publications and how they've gone about it has been pretty interesting. I know IGN copped a bit of flack.
It's really bizarre reading some of these comments. So it's got like, at the moment, it's got like a Metascore of about 84, which, you know, neither here nor there, but it's indicative of, I guess, people's attitudes towards this game. Some of the negative ones that have come out, Oz Gamers, quote, "I cannot in good conscience recommend this game to all but the most rabid of Hideo Kojima's work." And then it goes on to say, it pains me to say it, but Konami may have been a necessary evil for him, a check and balance against his crazy, more self-indulgent impulses. IGN, who I didn't realize they scored anything under 85, gave this a 68, and they said there is a fascinating fleshed out world of supernatural science fiction to enjoy across its sprawling and spectacular map. So it's a real shame that it's all been saddled on a gameplay backbone that struggles to adequately support its weight over the full course of the journey. So, and if you read a couple of these, you see that gameplay is really what the sticking point seems to be. It did look tough in some of the gameplay videos that I looked at. When you look at Norman Reedus' character, we shouldn't keep calling it Norman Reedus, but we will.
Is it Sam,
running around
it?
that landscape in the fields and being chased by those scientists or whatever, it did look a little bit janky, but I don't know. We'll see. I felt that way about Witcher the first time I played it, believe it or not.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, I mean the funniest, like I don't know if it's like, it's obviously more of a meme than anything, but there's a common phrase that's going around that is apparently based on a review of this game, where someone's saying that the story takes off after 10 hours in or something, like something along those lines. And if anyone knows me, then that is the worst thing to tell me, like the game picks up after 10 hours, like that. Like so I don't know how legit, or if it was just like an over exaggeration. It probably was, but I mean, even if it was an over exaggeration, that kind of thing telling me that this game is boring or a chore at the very start, that just cuts me off. I'm unfortunately really impatient when it comes to games, and if you just don't draw me in and I'm tired, I'm bored at this beginning, I'm putting the game down, and I've got 1,000,001 other games to play. So
like, it's, I'm sorry, I'm just baffled by even this one. This one from Easy Allies. Death Stranding is an easy game to complain about or even be angry at, but it's also a lot more fascinating than many other more conservative works. And they gave it a 80. 80. He's basically saying, yeah, it's a pass, but like appreciate it for what it is. 80. That's not an 80, mate. Death Stranding is not an overly strange... Sorry, Death Stranding is not the overly strange, inaccessible walled garden the marketing campaign has made it out to be. 80 by Destructoid. Alright, so in a nutshell, it's come out. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I agree with your earlier comment. It was never going to be everyone's cup of tea. And I think that it's not necessarily indicative of it being a bad game that these houses have kind of poo-pooed it. Probably it makes me more interested in playing it, I guess, knowing that IGN have really sacked it so badly.
I want to also make clear that IGN review was done by someone in Australia, but for some reason that's linking to the official IGN. IGN Japan and IGN Spain, I think, actually rated it really high, like 90. So...
Wow. Wow. Selective.
IGN Japan was talking about how it's a cinematic masterpiece and everything. So, yeah. See, it's who plays it.
I'm baffled. I gotta play this game. Moving away from our friend Hideo Kojima, and maybe we'll talk about the Fallout 76 stuff next, and we'll just finish off with Blizzard.
Yeah, sounds good.
This caught my eye earlier this week, and I think it's a really interesting story because you never really hear much about the ACCC in gaming. So for those of you who have never heard of the ACCC, perhaps outside of Australia, the ACCC is the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission. It's a very official group of people who sit around and count each other's money and say really weird things and probably talk like this, huh? And they accepted a court-enforceable undertaking that ZeniMax Media misled consumers over their digital rights regarding Fallout 76 and refunds. And they've ordered they've ruled that ZeniMax need to refund anyone who made a claim for a refund for Fallout 76 for not a short period of time either, from between November 24, 2018 and June 1st, 2019. It's a pretty amazing thing. So anyone who contacted ZeniMax for a refund, congratulations, buddy, you get your refund. You don't get to keep your game. They'll absolutely ban your game or block your account. But you get your money back. But maybe you don't want it now because they've fixed a lot of this stuff.
You'll have to buy a subscription. No, sorry, you don't have to buy a subscription. But a lovely conversation.
Yeah.
I think this is incredible. Australia finding themselves in gaming. We're having a few issues with understanding where Australia sits with gaming, how we feel about it, what's censorship, how do we handle this. But at least this is more on the positive, where they're saying that our consumers are being screwed over. So if you're going to supply a product, digital game, whatever, and your game is broken and people want their money back, you have to give them their money back. You provided a faulty product.
You're bang on. I'm actually really happy to hear this too, because you see a trend of companies misleading gamers or customers about what's in a game. Not really, but at the same time, you do see games being shipped a little too early, blatantly too early, where things haven't been properly tested, where things don't work correctly. In the absolute fringes of this, you see companies just on their own take action and decide to refund or pull it from the store. You saw that with what was the Arkham game, Arkham Asylum, but there was a Batman game where it was just busted as, and
it was the last one that they released.
Yeah, this is a good thing, and I think it really puts developers and publishers in the spotlight again to say, if you're gonna drop a game, make sure it runs exactly the way it should and the way people expect it to. It'll be interesting. We were only talking last week or the week before. Sorry, I vaguely recall NBA 2K dropping with some serious bugs as well.
And WWE as well.
Oh, it was a WWE. I might have confused that. I know it was
yeah.
one of the 2K titles. Yeah, it was WWE.
Yeah, it was WWE.
Yeah, I don't want to. Sorry, I don't want to make out like all their games are busted. But WWE, yeah, dropped with a lot of bugs. So it'll be interesting to see if this has a bit of a knock-on effect later on to the people over at 2K and Take-Two. But yeah, no, this is really cool.
The other thing I'd be very curious about is because ACCC usually looks after like general, like just products, like physical products. So what the ACCC will do when someone releases a game and maybe the game at launch has some bugs or has some issues or, is kind of faulty, but then they themselves, patch it or upon purchase it was faulty, but then they patch it or like they continue to patch it. Like it'll be interesting to see where they start blurring the lines there, where if on initial purchase the product was faulty, that's the return. Or if a company says, well, you know what? No, we're going to fix it. We're going to patch it. Then they'll go, oh, okay, maybe then it's justified. Like, yeah, well, it's an interesting...
You're right. You are right. Like my feeling there would be that you have to just judge it on day one. Like what you told people they were buying and what they bought aren't the same thing. And it doesn't matter what your intentions are. You made a call and it was the wrong call.
Then that's going to be pretty cool, just seeing how they handle it all. Because how many games do we know now where that upon release, it's maybe not been 100% broken, but there's bugs.
Yep. What was the EA one earlier this year? The one with all the javelins.
Javelins.
I think it begins with A.
Oh,
that
Anthem.
game when no one talks about it. Anthem. There
Anthem.
You go. Yeah, the one no one's talking about it anymore.
That poor
Even like a
game.
No Man's Sky. You know what? That's a really good point though. Like a No Man's Sky, that's a great example of a game that really turned it around with time, but shipped a completely misrepresentative version of itself on day one.
Yeah, definitely.
Go the bloody ACCC.
Yeah.
Go you guys, you good thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about all the BlizzCon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what the CEO dude said about Blitzchung at the start. Something about we were too slow to react and too dumb to get it right, or something like that.
It was along those lines where he was essentially saying that they made like a decision fast, but then they like took forever to kind of react. A lot of people are calling it a half-assed apology. Although they reduced his lifetime ban to just a year or something. What was it? They've reduced it. They
did it a few weeks ago.
Well,
Yeah.
he's still technically banned. And then he ended up getting his prize money. But I mean, people are still upset, saying he's still banned. Like, you're still punishing him.
But it's not just him. It's the casters who interviewed him as well when he made those remarks. They're still banned. It's so crazy. It's J. Allen Brack is his name, and J. Allen Brack got on the stage and gave this half-assed apology that didn't really sort of address anything. It just said, "Yeah, look, we stuffed up, but and we're sorry, and you." And it was something along the lines of, but you'll see, based on what you see here at BlizzCon, that we care about you guys. So, all good.
All good. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Nice one, Blizzard. There were 3 huge announcements that came out of this one. There was a WoW announcement. Of course, there's always a WoW announcement. Shadowlands is the new expansion that's coming out. But not surprisingly, but more importantly, Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 finally got announced officially.
Yeah.
Diablo 4, I said it to you earlier, but congratulations, mate. You've got whatever you did, Ali, to get this game moving, you got it. You did it.
I'm running low on blood, but, it finally got there. No more sacrifices. Oh, that's so dark. But it's Diablo.
It looks good. Like the gameplay trailer looks pretty cool. They said during the conference, Blizzard said they would be going back to its darker roots.
Definitely.
Which I love, because they're way too kiddie for me at the moment across all their titles.
Someone did describe it to me as their Diablo 3 being cartoonish, and I'm like, no, it wasn't. But now that I've got like 4 to reflect on, I'm like, oh yeah, like it probably was a bit too cartoony.
But you know what like really puts it in perspective is Path of Exile. So when you play Path of Exile, you see just what Diablo 3 should have been. That's my honest opinion. Path of Exile is so much more of a true successor to Diablo 2 than Diablo 3.
Yeah.
And it's so dark and it's so grim, but it's so good. And this looks fantastic as well. We saw the Barbarian, Druid, and Sorceress. Sorceress making a return as well. Which
Druid
is
was
They didn't
interesting.
Stick with the Wizard. You like the Druid?
Yeah.
I thought the Druid was the Barb at the start.
Well, because it's the one that turns into like it's essentially Thor. Like he commands lightning and he turns into a bear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's how we roll. That's how druids roll. That's a true D2 druid.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if there was lightning. There was definitely werewolf, werebear, and there was like an elemental tempest thing. Yeah, I think it was a
some
tempest.
kind of like
Sorry.
axe attack or something like that. Then there was like a lightning command, but we only saw 3, right? 3 characters.
Yeah, we only saw 3 classes. I thought when I was watching it there was like a Templar class, but it was no. They just showed 3, so it must have been like a sorceress's ability that I saw. But it looks like Diablo.
It does.
Which is a good thing. I want to see some of the. I don't want to ask for Diablo 2 because you've got Diablo 2, but I definitely didn't like Diablo 3. I didn't like the mechanics. I didn't like the way that these skills were set up. I prefer the skill tree. I prefer the skill tree, rather than the whatever the heck was going on there. So
Yeah.
anyway, I know I'm just burning you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Like, hey, as long as you're saying you enjoy Diablo, I'm usually pretty happy. It's hard for me to kind of like look like I have no like, you know, no business, but like I bought it, like how many consoles? I bought a Switch, Xbox, bought it on PC. So, you know, I actually really did enjoy Diablo 3, but now seeing the trailer release, it is more gruesome, like it's more high definition. It's zoomed in. Did anyone else feel like it was like zoomed in? Like you were just a little bit closer?
The opening close up on the Barb's head was. It was a bit
I just
much
like
for me.
in gameplay. I think it was gameplay. I felt like it was a bit closer. I could be
Probably.
wrong. Maybe that's
No,
how
you
they
pro-
show more detail.
Probably right, because they're trying to show it off. They want you to see all the
Yeah, that's
beautiful combat art and animations and blah blah blah. Cool. All right. I don't think we've missed anything else there, other than that it is set, you know, in the years after Diablo 3, and the world's been turned upside down from all the holy and Hellenic forces. Hellenic? Hell, not Hellenic. Hellish forces. Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
I'm so far off the Overwatch map that I didn't even expect this, to be honest. And I feel like we've talked about it being in development, but yeah, I never saw this coming.
I think, yeah, there was like a lot of conversation that an Overwatch 2 was obviously inevitable. Actually, a lot of people were announcing it about being more of a like a PvE kind of game as opposed to the PvP we're all used to. Like I'm kind of like with you. It is interesting, but it's like, what could have they done different if they wanted to still continue down the PvP route? Like they're still using like pretty much the same characters that we can see.
Well,
Like-
on the other side of the office, they're pumping out Call of Duty every bloody year, so I'm sure they can figure out how to re-release the same game year in, year out. I don't think they're out of ideas. They've got plenty of ideas. I think that it's interesting that they've got... Yeah, they're introducing a story mode is what they're doing. And first of all, I have to get this out. I hate this game so much. I don't hate the game. I hate the lore, and I really like every time I hear Tracer's so over the top Cockney accent, I cringe. I die inside. Like this is
the cavalry. crazy.
Oh, it's so over the top. And like, interestingly, watching the League of Legends Origins documentary, they talk about how they came up with their characters, and they're just pretty honest about it. They said, we created a mood board, we scraped all of pop culture for things that people could relate to, and we basically created characters that at least someone out there can look at this guy and say, that's my guy. Like, yeah, I know this guy, this is something I really like.
That's smart.
And, well, it's the tried and true formula, and it's exactly what Overwatch is. Like, it's exactly what Overwatch is. They've just taken it's just a motley crew of things that someone out there is going to love. It's great for cosplay, and it just means that someone can just go for the character, rather than it coming from... This is me getting on my soapbox, but it's like, rather than it being thought out and coming from somewhere organic, it's like it's nostalgia driven. It's like, this is what you like based on all the things we know about what gamers like. So we'll give you this, but we'll package it a little bit differently, and it's Overwatch.
I mean, they were smart in making it like a worldly group, like country-based characters, so people could have that sense of like attachment.
That's it, but that's exactly this. It's exactly the thing. Anyway, so I think this game is just, to me, it's just a cash machine, and I couldn't help but feel that way more watching this thing. So you've got new PvP maps, you've got new PvP modes, like a push mode, which seem to look exactly like the car one where you're pushing something
the payload,
forward and back.
maybe
Yeah,
the
payload one.
Yeah.
But then new characters, new skins, and now you can customize your attacks, and you can level up your characters. And all of that is, to me, buy the experience boost, buy the new move specific skin. It's just money. I don't know. I feel when I see this.
Well, I mean, Overwatch has a dedicated community. Like, they've created the Overwatch League. Although I think that is starting to go down in popularity. I can't recall where I heard it, but I think there was a bit of a decline recently. In saying that, though, I mean, if you've got a fan base, they're gonna like suck it up.
Yeah.
Although,
yeah.
I don't know if the people who are dedicated to like PvP would switch it up.
Well, I don't know. It's interesting because it morphs more into like what a World of Warcraft is when you have a PvE and a PvP element. It could, like, I'm not saying it couldn't work. I'm sure it would be very doable, and I'm sure that for whoever enjoys the PvP, they would also like the PvE. It's just, I don't know. It's just Overwatch.
I guess, like, going back to kind of how you made a comparison to Call of Duty, there's usually people who just strictly play, like, multiplayer on Call of Duty, and then there's some people who actually do enjoy the story, so maybe
Absolutely.
That's a kind of angle.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. But those stories are really well done. So
yeah, they are. They're actually pretty good.
We'll see. Shadowlands, the new WoW expansion, got its announcement. The trailer features Sylvanas breaking the Lich King's helmet, which the inner nerd in me is just, I don't know how to feel about this at all. But it's the new expansion. They have to find a way to keep this thing going. I saw Sylvanas walking up to Icecrown Citadel. I'm like, here we go again. All right. We're here.
I mean,
okay,
I want to know, like, how does this link to the release of, like, what was it? Is it called Vanilla? Is the OG, like, World of Warcraft that kind of got dropped? Like, how does that all link up?
So they're basically separate games, and
okay.
The whole thing about the classic versus the current is that the classic game, it's a very different game, but also I think story-wise, most people checked out after the second expansion, which was Wrath of the Lich King.
Shit.
So there's talk about, like, I think his name's Ian Hazakostas. He's the head WoW guy at Blizzard. He's talked about potentially releasing Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, the two expansions after the thing for Classic, potentially, if that's what people want to do. if enough people are asking for it. Otherwise, it's happy to just leave it. And then they'll just keep going with this sort of divergent timeline or this divergent path that they've already got with the existing game. But Shadowlands, I can't picture, I can't really work out in lore where or what's going on, but the Lich King is no more, and they've opened up a portal to a new world. There's 4 new covenants that you can join and master, and 4 new zones, and that's all we know at the moment. Yeah, I don't know. It's just WoW, same old WoW.
Were we given dates for any of these specific titles?
No, I don't think so. I don't recall seeing any dates. Yeah.
I mean, you just gotta get the hype up, right? Like, oh, it's coming. Like, everything is coming.
Well, you couldn't roll up there and talk more about Diablo Immortals again. That was off the table. Speaking of which, Diablo Immortals is still in development. Yeah, sorry. They did mention that they've got a few things happening there, and it's still coming, and blah blah blah. So for all you Diablo diehards out there who wanted this, it's coming. It's coming. Apparently, it's taking them years to develop the game that has been released 1,000 times before on mobile. Yeah, Lineage 2. Just play Lineage 2. Don't worry about it. I think that's it for us in the news. Unless you have anything else.
No, everyone. The one thing I was gonna bring up, only because it's kind of more your kind of thing, is everyone's been talking about Gwent. There's something about Gwent being either available or free to play.
It's on mobile. It's free to play on mobile. And I might actually give that a try this week. It was hard for me to get into Gwent in The Witcher.
I think I remember you saying something along those lines.
It's an interesting game. I'll download it. I'll definitely play it. It's free to play. What could possibly go wrong with me in a free to play CCG?
Next week, I don't know how, but I've dropped $20 on this game.
I'm 10 grand in debt. I don't know what happened. Go and check out YouTube/We Are 8-Bit for a whole bunch of cool video content. We've got half-informed reviews. We've got 151 videos now. The same number as Pokemon. And I don't want to hear a thing about there being more than 151 Pokemon. Real Pokemon. That's what I'm talking about, Nato. First 151 are the best. You can also go to 8bit.net and check out a whole bunch of our other brothers and sisters in our podcasting ranks. We just did a comedy rewind episode this week, Ali, Brendan and I, and Jono, on There's Something About Mary.
Oh, nice.
Which is the best, which is by far the best. I love this film, and I love talking about it with those two blokes. Every second of that was so good. Every gag in that is still hilarious.
It's been a while since I've watched that one.
It holds up. It's $5 in Australia to rent on Google Play, but it's worth every cent. It's worth every penny. And yes, I didn't download it illegally. I paid $5 because I'm legit now. Nearly 30, legit. What am I missing? You can go to patreon.com/We Are 8-Bit and help support the team here. Help support the boots on the ground. Miss Ali Hart, she's doing it tough over there in California. She needs a hoodie. She needs a hoodie. And who's gonna help her with that hoodie? You Patreon supporters are. And in case you want a hoodie, you can go to our merch store, which is, what the fuck's our merch store?
Store Envy. So just check out We Are 8-Bit at Store Envy.
Check out We Are 8-Bit at Store Envy, and you can help pick out a nice hoodie for Miss Ali Hart. I don't think there's anything else to say. Are you begging people? I'm not. No, you're not out here begging people. No. You asked me to do the begging. I'm begging for you. Anything else to do before we sign off for another week, Miss Ali Hart?
No, that's it for me.
No? Alright, and that's it for me. And for another week, this has been episode 171. Much love.
Stay hungry.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.